Welcome to Simply Quilts. If you've ever thought about attempting one of those eye-catching kaleidoscope quilts but were too intimidated to give it a whirl, you're in luck. There's a great new way to make a kaleidoscope block, and it's easier than pulling a rabbit out of a hat. We'll show you today on Simply Quilts. I'm Alex Anderson. Today we have a real treat for quilters who are always looking for faster, easier ways to create their projects. Here to help us eliminate the trickery of kaleidoscope quilts is Bethany Reynolds. Bethany, thanks so much for coming.
Hi, Alex. Thank you.
What drew you to kaleidoscope quilts?
Well, I've always liked kaleidoscope patterns with all intricate designs, but the traditional way of getting them with window templates and hours of cutting just didn't appeal to me. I'm just too attached to my rotary cutter.
Okay, we're in business because that's the same thing. Templates, I break out in a sweat here or something.
Yeah.
Now your technique is called stack and whack.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of an interesting expression.
Okay, well, we'll see how that works out.
You're not going to tell me anything right now, huh?
No.
Well, then let's take a look at the quilt we're going to make today so everybody at home can get an idea of what project we're working on. What do you call this quilt? Do you have a title for it?
This is called Hexagon Star Throw, and it's made with equilateral triangles, 60-degree triangles, and it's a very easy block to piece, as we'll see later on.
Now, unfortunately, we can't make that quilt exactly because the fabric's been there, done that, and now we have to move on to other types, you can use another kind of fabric. So let's talk about fabric, because I think that that is one of the key things to making one of these blocks. Okay, we have some here. What do we need to look for?
Well, the most important thing is a variety of line. You want to get a medium to large scale print, and you want to look for something that has a lot of different shapes, and a lot of colors is good too, but line is really the most important thing. Things that have geometric lines, like squares as well as floral type things, those work really well. Novelty prints can be a lot of fun.
But wait, what about this one here? This would be a jackpot, wouldn't it?
Yes, this is a wonderful print because it has great bright colors and it also has a lot of different shapes in it. So that really, I'm bells ringing.
Partial to that fabric. I'm glad you brought it. Let's take a look at some of the fabric that you brought and how it relates to the different quilts.
This is just a simple leaf pattern, but you get such a variety of blocks when you cut it up. It's surprising sometimes what will work. This is a novelty print.
I like this casino stuff, and look at how you have the cards.
And I didn't plan that. That just worked that way. That was the best part of all. It just comes out that way.
When you make these quilts, are you surprised as the whole journey takes form?
Yes, it's like doing a mystery quilt because you don't know what you're going to get until you do it, and each block is different. So it really keeps your enthusiasm going while you're doing it.
That's great. This is nice fabric.
This is prints that have a sharp edge like this, the little gold print on the edge, that really brings out the design sometimes. That's a good thing to look for too.
I can't believe how different the individual blocks look, and it's all from the same fabric.
Yep, people often are surprised at that. They think, oh, you must have had to pick out a lot of fabrics for that, and the fabric coordination is so easy because you've really only got one main fabric and just a couple of background fabrics to pick to go with it. So it's very simple to...
And you promise no templates, really?
No templates.
Okay, well, come on down here, and then now I'm going to put you to work, okay? This is where I think the magic starts, right? All right. Okay, what do we need to do if we're making today's quilt?
Well, first we need to consult the project directions and see how big the guide piece needs to be. And always good to read the directions first. For this quilt, the pattern calls for a 21-inch wide guide piece. And I've already measured here and made it a little snip at 21 inches so I know where I'm going to tear that.
All right.
And I'm going to tear up along for a couple of yards.
Should I get nervous about this? No?
No, it's easy.
Okay, go ahead and tear it. Let's see you do it.
All right. It's on the lengthwise grain, so we don't really have to worry about it. It's
and how long is it about?
Oh, about that far. It's really, you don't have to measure it.
That far, huh?
And then I want to get this out of the way because I'm just going to cut on a single layer there. Okay.
Is that always true?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what?
Okay, next we want to find out what the repeat length is of our fabric.
Now, when you say repeat, what do you mean?
Okay, that's where where the motifs repeat on the fabric, the way the designer has laid it out to print it. And if we look here, we can see that we have this purple sun here, and it keeps repeating. So if I just measure, I'll measure from the middle of his nose, on the middle of the sun there.
And you just have to pick something that you can find.
Something you can see easily. And that's just 12 inches exactly, so that's wonderful. It's easy to remember. But whatever that measurement is, that's what you want to just keep in your head for a minute or two. Now for this pattern, I need to use 2 repeats, so I'm going to measure 24 inches.
All right.
So that I get the 2 repeats.
12 is 24,
Okay.
got that.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to take and cut, since it's a 24-inch ruler, that makes it real easy. Part way down and come over here.
I think you can just think of it
Again.
kind of like wallpaper, right?
Yeah, it's a lot like doing wallpaper. And to be honest with you, I've never done wallpaper, but I think this is more fun.
I think you'd be good at it, okay?
All right.
Okay,
And
now
that's our
what?
guide piece. Okay. We're going to use this guide piece to cut identical repeats.
Okay, well, I'm going
Because
to
the
wrap
whole
this.
key to this is that we're going to cut all of the pieces at once. Instead of cutting individual pieces, cutting 6 little individual triangles for each of those blocks, we're just going to cut all of them at the same time.
And you lined them up how?
Just like matching wallpaper.
Okay.
You just take and find a spot, and you use your fingernails to get it lined up so that edge just disappears.
That's right. It becomes almost like one piece of
Yeah, it should just
fabric.
be hard to see.
Okay, well, this is
You
really
have it
great.
right.
Now, when we come back, Bethany reveals the secret of stacking. No smoke and mirrors. Need it for this one. Don't go away. Let's just go back to work here.
Join HGTV as we explore the incredible world of water gardens. Sunday at 5 Eastern, only on HGTV.
Something's happening this weekend. Something big. The big Memorial Day weekend sale at Sears with a whopping 40% off swimwear for everyone in the family. So hurry in to catch the big selection and get suited up for summer. Only through Monday at Sears.
Surprising news. Kellogg's Raisin Bran now has 25% more raisins. Surprising news. Kellogg's Raisin Bran now has 25% more raisins.
The sun, your shades, a rainbow in the palm of your hand, something cozy, someplace homey. Whatever you dream, you can create. At Joann, we have the inspiration, the notions, and ideas outside the box. And now, patio and garden accessories are 40% off. Come on out and play. Joann Fabrics and Crafts and Joann ETC.
Change it, because you want to. Change it. Now's the time. It's the store-wide sale at your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. For 5 days only, save 25% on paints and stains. Save 25 to 60% on all wallpaper. And save 25% on project helpers. So change it. Go ahead. Ask how, ask now. Ask Sherwin-Williams. We have just what you need for your next project. And it's on sale now. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
Wizard Scented Oil. It brings a unique freshness to your home. You can control the fragrance level to create a long-lasting, magical atmosphere. Scented Oil from Wizard. Fragrances that change your world.
Thanks for joining me again. We're revealing the mystery behind Magic Stack and Whack, and you'll really be surprised how easy it is. This quick method was also made simple by Bethany Reynolds. It really is simple.
Yes, it is, Alex. Now, we've already cut these 2 repeats apart. We just cut right along the line where we matched them up. So let's unpin them now and see what we've got here.
And what you're trying to do is exactly cut repeats.
Yes.
Okay.
See, we've got 2 identical repeats. And we do count the guide piece as one of the repeats. We need 6 for this quilt.
So the top one is the guide piece, and then you do 5 more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have 2, but we have to get 6.
Yeah.
They better
Okay.
be right.
Yes. So that's why we did them ahead of time. Okay. Okay. So we have a stack here of 6 repeats. I've already put a couple of pins in here, but I want to show you how to pin down through so that we make sure that we have everything matched up all the way down
Okay.
through. I like to find a place that I can spot, and I'm going to use the top of his head here.
Ow!
So, poor little guy. I'm going to stick the pin right on the top of his head there, and lift up that layer and find the same place again, so that I can just sort of push the fabric right onto the tip of the pin.
You just poke it in the same spot every single
Yep.
time.
And that way we make sure we have them lined up. And then instead of bringing the pin back across, I'm going to take a second pin and put it across this way. That way I don't shift the layers.
Okay, now let's talk about these 2 pins, because we have the flower head pin, which is a flat one, and then we have the glass head pin. Why do you use 2 different pins?
Well, the round head pin I find is easier to do that sticking part with. The flat pin I like to use because later I'm going to lay the rotary cutter on it, and this will lay flat. It won't wobble like the ones for the heads would. So,
And you do that all the way down
yeah,
the entire
you want to do
strip.
3 or 4 places to make sure that
Okay.
you've got it nice and stable.
Because if you don't, it will slip.
Yeah.
And then that's not good. Okay,
Now-
now what do we do?
We want to cut a 5-inch strip because this project uses 5-inch triangles.
There's your big long ruler.
And I'm going to take this and just
I'm like
line
going
it
to
up
get out of
there.
the way here,
Yeah.
okay?
I can be dangerous with these things.
Now, I'm noticing that you're using the Gigano rotary cutter here. Really, 6 layers, a Gigano one?
Well, why not make it easier? I really like the big cutter. You can do it with a smaller cutter.
The medium one, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
the medium one will work fine. The real little bitty one really isn't big enough to cut the
I
mustard
agree,
on this
I
bit.
agree. Okay, I'm going to back off here and have
Okay.
you whack it. We did the stacking and now we're doing the whacking,
Yeah,
huh?
here comes the whacking.
I think that's such a cute name for it.
Put that safety right back on.
Thank you. Close it every time.
Oops.
Okay, well, we'll just get that there.
And there.
Okay, now what?
Okay, now I need to cut 60-degree triangles, and I'm going to switch to the smaller ruler at this point because it's a little easier for these smaller cuts.
All right.
And take that pin out so I don't cut through that.
Yeah, because if you cut through it, you're going to ruin your blade.
Yeah.
All right, now let's just
Okay.
hold this still, because I think a lot of people get hung up now on how to get an angle cut, so let's talk about that.
And this 60-degree one is not one that people are real, familiar with as much as
Okay.
the 45-degree. It's a little bit different. We're just going to line up the 60-degree line on one edge here. And sometimes with a different ruler, you might have to be lining it up on this edge. It just depends on your ruler.
Okay.
And then I'm going to cut here, and this first cut just establishes the angle.
Okay, that's waste.
That's garbage. Okay.
Applicate.
Yeah, right. It's never wasted unless you throw it out.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to turn the strip around and lay my 60-degree line along the bottom again, and then just put the 5-inch line here. We always use the same measurement that we use for the width of the strip. Because
Okay.
we're going to actually be cutting a diamond. So for the 5-inch strip, we want to line it up at 5 inches and whack.
All right.
Now we've got a diamond shape. I find this is an easier way to cut triangles. Instead of flipping the ruler back and forth, just cut a diamond, and then I can line my 60-degree line up here.
I love that, because I would be the one that would be flipping the ruler back and forth.
And then you
I
get
love that.
lost. And,
Yeah.
Okay. And just cut across.
Okay, now
I
what do you have here?
2 block kits.
Okay.
Each of these is going to make a block. Each one's got the 6 identical pieces.
Okay, so a block kit will give you 1 block.
1 hexagon block.
Okay, and how many block kits do you need for the whole thing?
18 for this throw.
Okay. And then, do you have any tricks on storing these block kits?
Yeah. I put a pin in the straight grain edge.
All
These
right.
edges here. That's important for 2 reasons. It keeps the pieces together, but it also reminds you which was that straight grain edge, because you want that to be the outside edge of your block.
Well, let's take a sneak preview at what we'll have here,
Okay.
because,
We can cheat a little bit and see what
That's
this will
right.
look like.
It's like
Okay.
having a design wall. You know,
Yeah.
we've got to see where we're going with this. And this is really
Spread
where
these
the
out.
magic happens.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. And this isn't hard to piece, you say, huh?
Whoops. Turn that one around. Okay.
That's wonderful. Every time I bet you're surprised.
It is, yeah. And no matter how many of them you do, if you took the same piece of fabric again, you couldn't get the same blocks. You always get different blocks every time.
Well, this is
It really
great fun. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more pieces to our kaleidoscope puzzle.
services you can't get anywhere else.
I can call customer service anytime with questions.
It's so reliable, it's always there.
24/7. Our grandkids love that we get Roadrunner and digital cable.
Roadrunner is easy to get and easy to use.
I could never go back to dial-up.
Time Warner Cable never keeps you waiting.
With Time Warner Cable's on-time guarantee, I know I won't wait for service. It just couldn't be easier.
No one gives you more. Time Warner Cable, the very best in TV, keeps getting...
Sew A Lot on Main Street in Centerville is more than just a sewing shop. We're your friendly one-stop for all your sewing needs. Sew A Lot is having an emergency FOF inventory reduction sale in anticipation of the new FOF 2140. Save up to $2,000 on our in-stock FOF sewing machines and embroidery machines. Don't miss these exciting offers or the FOF Creative Fantasy 2140 with a full-color touch screen, 36 colors, and an exclusive integrated dual-feed system. Sew A Lot, Route 48, Main Street in Centerville. Your fun and friendly one-stop sewing shop.
#1-800-CONTACTS. Exact same contact lenses, delivered to your door for less than you're paying now. Call 1-800-CONTACTS. We deliver, you save.
If only your house could talk, what would it say?
I was once the queen of the neighborhood, one of its finest Victorian houses, and now I'm going to be again.
Only Lowe's has American traditional paint. Colors so authentic, so durable. The National Trust uses American tradition to paint some of the country's historic treasures.
It's amazing what a little paint will do.
Lowe's. Improving home improvement.
Mom, Dad, we're best friends, right? Guess what? I'm about 2 seconds away from dumping you. Kicking you out of my life. You won't even recognize me. And pretty soon, someone's gonna try to get me to take drugs. Wanna do something about it? They're gonna have to make me tell you where I am and who I'm with every day, no matter how much I fight you. Don't like it? Tough. You gotta be the grown-up.
Summer must be here. Time for the JCPenney Memorial Day sale with 20 to 50% savings on everything for summer. Plus, take an extra 10% off with your Pennies card. It's all inside. Summer's on. JCPenney.
Welcome back to Simply Quilts. I'm Alex Anderson, and we're creating a kaleidoscope quilt today using a quick and easy method developed by Bethany Reynolds. Bethany, you've been really keeping us busy here. Well, let's talk about background fabric. You have some thoughts on that.
Yes, I like to wait until I've got some of the block kits cut before I choose that, because it often makes a big difference once you see it cut up. And then you can arrange your blocks on a few different backgrounds and see what you really like before you make your final decision on it.
Well, let's take a look at some options, okay? Let's start with the medium fabric that you chose.
Yeah. I like to use textural type prints and things that won't compete too much with the main fabric. So I usually do try to go sort of a marble look or something like that that's kind of nondescript.
This one's okay. Let's take a look at the next one.
But the light brings it out much more. Usually the more contrast you can get, the better to bring out the main blocks.
And do we have another one to look at?
Yeah, we have a dark one also.
Oh, that's the one. That's
real dramatic, but you know that's not the one I went with. because this quilt has two fabrics. You need a background fabric and an accent fabric. And what I ended up doing was using the light blue fabric for the accent fabric, which will make the points around the star on the throat, where we have the yellow in the original quilt.
Okay, well, let's take a look now at what we need to do to get started. I noticed that you have some pins on. It's all one set, one block set, and I noticed you have a bunch of pins. What's that about?
Okay, as I unpin each block kit, you remember we put that pin in the straight green edge? We want to make sure we keep track of that edge because we want to make that the outside edge of the block.
Right.
And we don't want to turn the pieces, and it's real easy to do that.
You always want the outside of the block to be on the straight grain.
Yeah, and we want to keep the seam ripping to a minimum.
Okay.
So I put one pin in that edge on each piece.
Okay.
And that just keeps me straight. And that way you can just follow where the pins are and know where you're sewing. It's a very easy block to piece, even for beginners. All you do is you take two of these pieces, two triangles, and lay them right sides together, sew your 1/4-inch seam, and press the seam open, because I find they come out much better pressed open.
When you have that many seams coming together in the center, I think it's always wise to press open.
Yeah.
All right, so you do that.
That's one of those times when you break the rules.
So you have your the halves, right? Okay, now what?
Now we're going to have to get that center pin so that will come out right. And Sometimes people get a little scared about this to make sure that those seams are going to come together in the middle. There's a real easy way to do it if you know how to pin it.
And this is exactly how I do it. So I'm 100% behind this technique.
We're going to use 3 pins. We have, again, one of these pins with the ball head. And we're going to stick that through right where the seams cross. And right where they cross on the bottom one. And get that right straight up and down. It's kind of like a nail.
I would say smash them together.
Yep. And pin on each side of it.
And you can also use the ball head pins for each side.
You could for this, yeah. You could use any kind of pin for this.
Okay, let's just hold that still, okay?
Okay.
And then what?
Then I usually take that pin out so it won't scratch or anything.
And I keep mine in till the end, so either way.
To each his own. Okay. And sew that center seam. And of course, where you are sewing your 1/4 inch seam, it should cross right where those cross there.
Okay, and here, right there, you've done it.
Okay, and then we open it out, and there's our hexagon. And hopefully it came out just perfect.
I love it.
And we've got a couple more sewn here, so you can see they will all be different. And that's really the most exciting part about this, is you can't wait to do another block to see what that one will come out like.
And how many in all do we need of these?
We need 18 of these.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Now what about the background?
Okay, well, we need to add the accent triangles onto each block. Each one gets an accent triangle on 2 opposite sides, and it really doesn't make any difference which 2 sides, as long as they're the opposite sides. And we just sew those down with 1/4 inch seams and open it up. And now what we've got is a diamond. And the wonderful thing about that is that when we set it together, we have all straight seams. We don't have any set-in seams to do on this quilt, so it goes together.
Bethany,
very
something
easily.
else I noticed, you put the straighted grain on the, you matched the straighted grains up. Is that important?
Actually, I wasn't paying any attention.
Okay, well, should you or not?
I actually usually put it this way,
Okay.
so that when it's pressed open,
Okay.
in the rows, we'll have straight grain across
Okay.
the rows.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not quite as careful about that sometimes as
the
with
actual
this part, with
block.
the main block, it's more important.
Well, this is good news. Now, don't disappear, because when we return, we'll finish off our hexagon star quilt and take a look at some other kaleidoscope creations.
Information about the products or projects on today's episode is available by visiting our website at HGTV.com or by calling 865-694-7879, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please note today's episode number.
Feeling a little sheepish about your crafting skills? Come to HGTV.com. You'll find thousands of amazing ideas in our crafts and collectibles pages. Projects with easy-to-follow step-by-step instructions and message boards where you can post questions. HGTV.com. Imagine what you can do online.
Abner, we're rich.
We're rich?
It's our new litter. It's got diamonds in it.
Diamonds! What's a diamond?
A diamond is a very valuable...
You are mistaken, my friends. The diamonds are crystals in new Tidy Cat's Crystals blend. The clay traps moisture. The crystals eliminate odor. And that is the only reason I agreed to live here with the likes of you.
Whatever.
New Tidy Cat's Crystals blend.
I still think they're diamonds.
You know it makes me want to shout. 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 Shout.
New Shout has tough sting fighters that get out more tough stings better than spray and wash.
Yeah, yeah. Shout. Makes me want to shout.
In just one try. Want more tough stains out the first time? Shout them out with New Shout. It's a family company.
The ultimate breakthrough in upright cleaning has arrived. The Boss Smart Vac by Eureka. No other upright picks up more dirt. No other upright cleans better at any price. No other upright has better resistance to clogging. No upright provides better air purity through its true HEPA sealed system. It's our quietest upright ever. And the Boss Smart Vac goes where you go through its no-tip design. The Boss Smart Vac. Innovation made affordable by Eureka.
Hello, Larry. Long time no see.
You know me?
Like a book, Larry. How about a Hebrew National hot dog?
take credit cards?
I take credit for everything. This is some of my best work. Fresh, kosher beef, perfectly seasoned, nothing artificial.
Mr. Fine.
Thank you. Now take one over to your wife.
My wife? I wish.
Trust me on this, Larry.
Hebrew National. Better because we answer to a higher authority.
I have a hot dog and it's for you.
Welcome back to Simply Quilts. We've been talking about the wonder of magic stack and whack, and Bethany Reynolds is helping us finish up this wonderful kaleidoscope quilt. What can you tell us to get this thing together?
Well, we're almost done. We need to cut a few more background pieces to fill in around the edges and give us a straight edge. So what we do is we have some triangles, and these are cut 5 3/8 inches. They need to be a little bit bigger because of the seam allowance.
All right.
And we just cut that right up the middle to get a left and right half, and those are going to just fill in along the edges.
Okay, is this the traditional size that we cut all along then?
We're cutting 5 inches for all these other triangles.
Okay, so just for the outside edge, you have to do the other size.
Yeah, slightly bigger.
And then you just, put them in rows?
Yeah, and then you see you're just sewing diagonal rows here between the blocks.
Uh-huh.
And then you just sew your rows together to complete the center of the top and add straight borders.
I love this. This is great. How long would it take to do this the traditional, old-fashioned way?
We'd still be there with the window templates cutting each piece. Yeah.
Probably not talking nicely to each other. Let's take a look at some of the quilts you brought today. They are just spectacular and really very different using the same technique. Okay, the first quilt is the diamond ring. Okay, what about that quilt?
That is actually using what's called the kaleidoscope block. It's an 8-piece block in the centers. That quilt's all made with that same block. It's just the way the fabrics are placed gives you the ring effect.
That is really nice, and you do the same sort of stacking, the same sort of pinning.
8 layers.
Okay, just take different cuts. All right, what about the lily, the North Carolina lily?
A little bit, we've only got 4 repeats on that one. And it's done with a 45-degree diamond in that case.
Do I see applique on that?
There's a little bit of applique, yes, and I do the applique by machine. Of course, you can do it by hand if you prefer.
It looks like that quilt was stippled and trapuntoed and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, there's quite a bit of machine quilting on that one.
It's beautiful and totally different. And last but not least is the Morning Star quilt. That is big.
Yes. Queen size, and it's heavy. And it did take a little bit longer because there are a lot of blocks. I think there are 32 blocks in that one. And it's cut with 60-degree diamonds, which is what we cut initially with this one before we cut them into triangles. We had that 60-degree diamond shape.
That's kind of like a Lemoyne Star, but not quite.
With just 6 pieces instead of 8.
Was the construction of that very difficult?
Not really. The only thing that's very different, you do take your diamond pieces and sew triangles on either side of them, and then you're just sewing together triangle units just like this when you construct your block. So it's very similar to this in a way.
Now, is that machine or hand quilted?
That's machine quilted.
Did you do that too?
Yes, I did.
Hey, I'm impressed. After a quilt gets so big, I ship it off to somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay, well now, with this technique, how long have you been doing this about?
About 5 years.
And was it something you just stumbled on by magic?
Kind of, yeah. I knew there had to be an easier way.
Were you doing the little window thing?
No. I never had any interest in doing it that way. But this just seemed like an obvious way to do it. Once you get the initial idea of using the repeats and having them all stacked up, then it's just
do it,
think of how many different things you can do with it.
Well, thanks so much for coming today, Bethany. We love the technique, and you've taken the mystery out of it for us. We like that stack and whack. Now, remember, these projects can be found in Bethany's book, Magic Stack and Whack Quilts. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time on Simply Quilts.